Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to start with the first chapters of biology, and the name of the chapter is Reproduction in Organisms. Before we go to the main topic of the chapter, reproduction, let us learn something about lifespan as given in your textbook. Now, what is lifespan? Lifespan is the period from birth to natural death of an organism. So it is referring to the maximum numbers of years an individual can live. So lifespan of different species vary, means the lifespan of different species are different. So lifespan of organisms are not necessarily correlated with their size. What is the meaning of this point? The meaning is the lifespan of the organisms are not correlated with their size. Some organisms may be bigger than the other organisms, but their lifespan may be short. Some organisms may be smaller, but their lifespan may be longer. So now let's take an examples between crows and parrots. The crows and parrots are almost similar in their size, yet their lifespan show wide difference. Now let's look at the picture of different species or different individual showing different lifespan. So I will ignore the rest and I will concentrate on the two species, that is crows and parrot. Now if you look at the size of crow and parrot, they are almost similar in their body size, but if you look at the lifespan, crow has only 15 years, but the parrot has 140 years. Whatever be the lifespan, that is a certainty for every individual organisms. So if that is certain, then how plants and animal species existed on Earth for several thousands of years. So there must be a process or mechanisms to make sure that the species of plants and animal continue to exist. Now that process or mechanism is called reproduction. So now let us go to the main topic of the chapter, that is reproduction. Now what is reproduction? Reproduction is a biological process in which an organism gives rise to young ones or offspring similar to itself. Now what is the meaning of similar to itself? The meaning of similar to itself means, let's take an example. Humans should produce a young one or baby that will grow into human. Similarly, a dog must produce a puppy that will grow into dog. So similarly, cat also should reproduce a kitten that will grow into cat later on. So that is the meaning of producing young one or offspring similar to itself. Now let us go to the types of reproduction. Okay. There are two types of reproduction, that is asexual and sexual reproduction. This division of reproduction is based on how many parents are involved in reproduction. Now let us go and see the difference between these two types of reproduction. The first one is asexual reproduction. Now in this type of reproduction, offspring is produced by a single parent. Yes, offspring is produced by one parent only, with or without the involvement of gamete formation. The offspring is morphologically, that means the young one produced by this method is morphologically and genetically similar to parents. So for such similarity, we use the term cloned. Now let us go to the next one, sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, the offspring is produced by two parents of opposite sex with the fusions of gametes. What is the difference between these two? In asexual, only one parent is involved. Okay? There might be or might not be an involvement of gamete formation. But in sexual reproduction, two parents are involved and there is a formation of gametes. Now let us go to the types of asexual reproduction. The first type we have binary fission. In binary fission, the parent cells divide into two halves and each grows into an adult. Example is amoeba. Okay. So in this type of asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved. Now that parent cells will divide into two halves and each half will grow into an adult. So this is the picture. Now we have amoeba. This is the image of amoeba. Only one parent. Now these single parents of amoeba, okay, will divide and at the end will give rise to two daughter cells and each one will grow into an independent amoeba. Okay. So how this step is possible? Now we have a parent cell. Here the nuclear will divide followed by division of cytoplasms. Okay. And at the end we get two identical daughter cells and each one will grow into independent amoeba. So let us go to the next step, that is budding. In budding type of reproduction, the cells division produce small buds, okay, that initially attach to the parent cells, which eventually get separated and matured into new individual organisms. Example is Hydra. In Hydra, a bud or an outgrowth will appear on the body of the parents, and this bud will continue to attach to the parent cells, okay, and later on they will be free or separated from the parent's body and finally grow into new individual Hydra. The third one is sporulation. What is sporulation? In simple terms, it is called the formation of special asexual reproductive structures. Special asexual reproductive structures called spores, meant for asexual reproduction. So let us see some of the common example of spores. Number one, we have zoospore. Zoospore are asexual motile spore with flagella. What is the meaning of asexual motile spore? Motile means the spore that has the ability to move. Now what makes them the ability to move? It is because of the presence of flagella. Example of an organisms, okay, that undergo this type of reproduction is Chlamydomonas. And this below is the picture of zoospore. Okay, these structures is the flagella and these will help in movement. Now this is the parent cells called zoosporangium, and within the parent cells a numerous zoospore is formed. Okay. Then when these zoospores are released, on reaching a suitable substratum, they will germinate into individual organisms. Second one is Conidia. Conidia is asexual non-motile reproductive structure. Non-motile means they don't have the ability to move. So examples of an organisms that produce this type of spore is penicillium. Now this is the pictures of penicillium. These structures is called hypha, and on the hypha there is the structures called conidiophore. On conidiophore, numerous conidia are produced. Okay. On release these spores, the spores will grow into individual organisms. The third one we have Jammus. Jammus are not actually a spores, but they are internal buds that are found in sponges. Example is the spongilla. So inside the body of spongilla, a bud is produced. So this bud has got a reproductive mass of cells that are capable of developing into new organisms. So the next type of asexual reproduction is vegetative propagation. What is the meaning of vegetative propagation? It is the growth and development of plant by asexual means. It is the growth and development of plant by asexual means. Now, there are two types of vegetative propagation: natural vegetative propagation and artificial propagation. Let us go to the types of vegetative propagation in details. Natural vegetative propagation. So this type of propagation, a type of propagation that occurs naturally in plant, is called natural vegetative propagation. Examples: bulb in onion, tubers in potato, runners in strawberry. So these are some of the examples of natural vegetative propagation. The second one is artificial vegetative propagation. If a propagation of plant occurs under the influence of man, then such propagation is called artificial vegetative propagation. Examples of artificial vegetative propagation are stems cutting, layering, grafting, tissue culture, etc. So this is the pictures of layering. Layering. This is a jasmine plant. How do jasmine plants multiply? You can see this is the branch. The branch are pulled down in the soil, and some part of the stems are covered with soil or mud. After a few days or a week, the part of the stem that is covered with soil produced root. And once they produce root and bud, the stem can be separated from the parent's plant. Then they will grow into individual jasmine plant. Now this picture is the example of grafting. In grafting, two different plants are brought together and allowed to grow into single plants. So this picture is the overview of tissue culture process. Tissue culture. In tissue culture, a cells or any piece of leaf is removed from the plants and cultured in nutrients mediums. And after few weeks or a month, the cells or excised piece of leaf will grow into individual complete plants. So these are done under the influence of man. That is why it's come under artificial vegetative propagation. So that's all for today. In the next class, we will start with sexual reproduction. Thank you.